What's up, YouTube? It's me, it's an indie comic book guy. If you're new to the channel, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. Today, I got a request to make a video essentially about creating comic books. The question was, should
I start making my first comic book? Is it too late?
And I never think it's too late to follow your dreams, to turn something that you're passionate about into a reality. It's never too late. So I thought about it, and I'm like, I've been creating comic books since 2012. When my first project was Chosen, which got picked up by Arcana Studios, to my latest project, Lady Freedom, which was published via Second Sight Studios. So I've been around for a while. I've never been that name brand creator, but I've been publishing comics for a number of years. So I would like to think I have something to share as far as knowledge, all that good stuff, right? A few things I've learned along the way, good and bad. So with that in mind, I want to just offer some tips, if you will, on if you should start creating comic books in 2022. So the year's almost over. If you start now, chances are you're not going to have that book ready until 2022. Or you might surprise me, have it done in one day. You never know. So, having said that, first tip. Come up with a great idea. A lot of times comic books are just repeat of something you're influenced by. How many people, how many zombie comic books have you seen? How many superhero comic books have you seen? There's so many different variations of Batman and Superman and the X-Men and Fantastic Four just flooding the comic book shelves, flooding the crowdfunding sphere. Come up with something original. If you can't, give me an original take on this thing that inspires you. Because remember, you can't copyright an idea. You can only copyright your variation of said idea. That's it. Come up
with a great idea. Blow us away. Give us something we haven't seen before, because
the argument lately is manga is outselling American comic books. Why? Because they have more original stories to tell in that arena. They're not limiting themselves to superheroes or horror. They're expanding the narrative. When was the last time you read a Thor comic and he was fighting a bad guy?
A week, and you're like, can Thor win? Can Thor win? Never.
You know it was going to happen. That plot armor is thick with American comics. American comic books do not make you excited for the big battle. Anime, manga, they get you excited for the big battle, right? Will this character win? Will they unlock a new power? Will somebody else have to step in? You don't get that in American comic books. We do not get excited for the big battle. I wish we did. I wish we did. One of my pet peeves has always been, you have a Justice League or an Avengers story. You have 7 or 8 guys and girls, and they're fighting like an alien army by themselves. And they win. None of them die. That's always bothered me. It's not exciting. The stakes are not up there. They're down there. Too much plot armor. Too much. Second thing. Let's take a look at characters. There's been a lot of talk about people gender swapping and race swapping characters and not coming up with original characters. And the other side of the argument is, hey, when people do create original characters, nobody's buying them. Nobody's buying them. And my take is,
if that was true, indie comics wouldn't exist.
it wouldn't exist if nobody's buying original characters. I don't care if they're black, white, green, purple, yellow. Nobody would buy indie comics if that argument held up that no one wants original characters. It's just my 2 cents. Now, as far as big comic book, which is what I call Marvel and DC, it takes, how did Malcolm Gladwell say, 10,000 hours before you can really become successful. I equate that to comics as 10 years for a character really to become popular. Look at Deadpool, look at Harley Quinn. Look how many years it took for those 2 characters to reach their mainstream peak in popularity. Look how many years The Walking Dead was around before it got that television deal and just skyrocketed into popularity. These things take time. Now, can big comic book invest the time, money, and resources and talent to create the next Harley Quinn, the next Deadpool, the next Batman, the next Wolverine? Of course they can. Do they want to do that in 2021, 2022? That's the starting point. No. They want that instant gratification. Remember Hitmonkey? Of course you don't. They were trying to get that instant gratification that they got with Rocket Raccoon from the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and it failed.
It failed. They just said, forget it. We don't want to do it anymore. We don't want to do it.
Rocket Raccoon, another character, been around for years, for decades. Took a movie to make him popular. Same with Groot. But is anybody really buying Guardians of the Galaxy comic books? No. Not in big numbers. No. Next tip. Distribution. A lot of people get confused when they hear the word published. Oh, my comic book got published. That can mean anything. That can mean someone's put their logo on your book, released it on Comixology or their online storefront. Boom, you're published.
Or taco without cheese. You happy now?
And that's the limit of that company publishing your book. Or they can take it to crowdfunding, put their logo on it. That's the limit of them publishing your book. Publishing. Without a distribution plan, outside of just throwing it on a website, it's not publishing. Or at least not the type of publishing that's going to get you known, that's going to help make you money. That's where distribution comes into play. A lot of people, it's popular to hate on Diamond, but most comic book retailers rely on Diamond. They are only going to order from Diamond. There's been a lot of other distribution companies come and go, but they don't have the infrastructure to really make you money or make themselves money. That's why I salute companies like Alterna, who for years they've listed which stores you can buy their comics at. Smart idea. They're like, you know what? We're just going to do it ourselves. We've been doing it in part. We're going to continue doing it. Nobody's stopping anyone from picking up the phone, calling any comic book store in America, in Canada, Mexico, Europe, Africa, wherever.
And said, hey, I have this book. I would like for you to read it. I would like for you to consider carrying it.
Make them a deal. Hey, you order 10 copies, I'll give you 2 free, whatever the case may be. Never trust anyone who says they can distribute your comic book without receipts. And what I mean by receipts is, have they done this before? If so, have they done it successfully? Successfully. Have they done it successfully? How many stores? You need receipts before you make any business deal with anyone. Because anybody can claim, oh, I have 50 stores. Okay. What books are they selling within these 50 stores? Are they reordered? Get your information before you sign any contract. It's that simple. They cannot provide you with these receipts. Don't do business with them. It's that simple. You're setting yourself up for failure otherwise. Let's talk about a fan base. During the pandemic, a lot of comic book creators, whether writers, artists, inkers, whatever, they've all flocked to podcasts. They've all flocked to YouTube and Twitch and whatnot. And this is the crazy part. You would think it would be to help build a fan base. No. 80% of these have been shows where creators are just talking to other creators. Is that interesting for fans? No. No. Why do I say this? Why? Am I being a hater? No. But you have to understand, what's interesting for a creator is not interesting for a reader. If I got on here every week and I just had a panel of different indie or professional comic book creators just talking, that's not interesting to you. Can you potentially learn something? You can potentially learn something from any conversation. But eventually it's going to become the same conversation. And when it becomes the same conversation, it's not interesting to you as a comic book reader, as a viewer of the material, whatever the case may be. It's not interesting. So, in order to build a fan base, you have to talk to the consumers. You have to talk to the customers. You have to talk to the readers. You have to talk to you. I come on this platform every week and I state my opinion. And one of the things that I make sure I ask is, what do you think? Because I don't have all the answers. Mr. Unicorn doesn't have all the answers. I want to know what you think, because there's a level of accountability in the things that I say and the things that anyone says. Again, I don't have all the answers, so I learn from people in the comments. And I wish I can respond to each and every comment. I try, but I know I need to do better. I value your comments because I do read them, I do learn from them, and I try to educate myself about the industry, about movies, TV shows, anime, whatever the case may be, video games. I learn from you. That's what's interesting for me when I make these videos, is learning from each and every one of you. Again, if I just got on the show and just talk to other creators, I'm alienating you. I don't ever want to do that. Right now, I'm not selling any product, but if I ever did, I would need you to consume it, just like you're consuming this video. So when you look at fan base, in order to grow a fan base, you need to talk to the people who are actually buying the product. That's it. I don't care if you're doing it on YouTube, if you're doing it on Spotify, you're doing it at a convention, you're doing it at a comic book shop, you're doing it while you're in the middle of a D&D game. Talk to the people who are consuming the product. It's that it. It's that simple.
How do you build a fan base outside of the internet? Simple. As I said, go where the people who are consuming the content are.
Don't expect everybody to come to you. Go where they are. Talk to them. Hang out. Drink a beer. Drink some rum. Now, let's talk about fanboys versus business boys. There's a difference. When you're creating comics, you are either creating it as a fan because you love the medium and you're like, hey, I have some ideas in my head, some crazy ideas that might sound a little weird. I want to get a creative team together to make them a reality. You're not worried about making money. You're just like excited, like, hey, I want to get these ideas on paper. Nothing wrong with that. Then the other side of it, you have people who do take this industry seriously in the form of a business. They want to create a product. They want to bring it to market. They want to see it grow. Learning the difference between, or if you're just approaching this as a fan, as a hobby, or if you're approaching it as a business, that's one of the hardest things for people to realize. Now, with a hobby, can you make money? Of course you can make money with a hobby. But anyone who has watched Shark Tank knows that one of the key differences between a hobby and a business is, can you grow it? Can you grow it? A lot of times the fanboys can't.
They're happy. Oh, I had a successful crowdfunding campaign. I made a couple $100. Yay. I made $2,000. Yay.
Why are you selling for $2,000 when you can make $2 million? Think about that. Why settle for $2,000 when you can make $2 million? How are you going to grow from just having one comic book and compete with the Buffy the Vampire Slayers, the Hellboys, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the He-Mans of the world? How are you going to take that comic book and create a brand? Let me know in the comments. Again, there's nothing wrong with being a fanboy. Nothing wrong with it. I know a lot of fanboys, but I also know a lot of people who do approach this as a business, and they have some great plans of marketing their characters, or of creating a studio, or creating a publishing empire that goes outside of comic books and not just limiting their business model to just comic books. Next thing. Politics of the business. I'm going to have to get a drink on this one. Politics of the business. A few years ago, for whatever reason, there was a paradigm shift in the comic book industry. Next thing you know, people were divided up between the left and the right, the social justice warriors and the comic gate people. If you were in the middle, you were forced to pick a side. Even if you didn't want to pick a side, you just wanted to make a comic book. You wanted to tell a good story. No. People will whisper in the DMs, grown men in each other's DMs whispering about you. Grown men with full beards, living off their wives, that work at the dollar store, whispering your name in DMs, saying you're this and that. It is crazy. The biggest difference to me, I'm all for activism. And to me, the difference between activism and social justice warriors is activism is about the cause. Whether it's global warming, saving the whales, gay rights, whatever the case may be. Go for it. Fight for that cause. But social justice warriors make it about them, not about the cause. And it's important that you know the difference between activism, fighting for a cause, and a social justice warrior, because a lot of them is just trendy. They're all about whatever cause is trending on Twitter at the moment. And they make it about them. Not about the cause, about them. I'm about the cause and about fighting for what's right. I'm all about making things right. Nothing's ever going to be right for everyone. It's not realistic. But when you make something all about you, that's a social justice warrior. And next week, their cause may be different because something else is trending. Comic gate. A lot of people, and I've said this before, they accuse a lot of them of racism, homophobia, all that fresh and fit type mucho masculinity stuff, Originally it started off, hey.
Gatekeepers, we don't like y'all. Y'all are blocking other people from entering this space.
That is what I agree with Comic Gate. That's where I agree with Comic Gate, because you do have a lot of gatekeepers out there blocking people from getting publishing deals or animation deals or video game deals just because of their politics. When I go to Starbucks or wherever and I order some coffee, I don't care if the guy is a Biden supporter, a Trump supporter, a devil worshiper, a super Christian. I don't care. I just want my coffee. Same with comic books. I just want to read a good story. That's it. One of the things that I wanted to point out is pay your people. There are a lot of writers, there are a lot of artists, a lot of letters, inkers, and so forth who are not getting paid for their work. Not getting paid. They're not getting paid. They're doing the work. And you still have people like, oh, well, I'll pay you on the back end. Never work on a back end deal. They cannot pay you for the work. Do not do the work. It's that simple. It's that simple. They cannot pay you. Do not do the work. One of the things that really pisses me off, and I have creators message me all the time or call me all the time, and they're like, hey, I worked on this book, and I see they made $15,000 on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, and I haven't got $1. And I'm like, what? Yeah, they said they were going to pay me on the back end if the campaign was successful. I'm like, well, they made $10,000. Looks successful to me. And then the writer or whoever stops contacting this person. They stop responding to their messages. They just took the $10,000 to $15,000 and ran. That is a crime. And people like that should be locked up in jail because you're stealing people's time, you're stealing people's money. Don't fuck with the money. That's all I gotta say. So if you cannot pay your people, don't even think about making a comic book. Don't even think about it. On average, it can cost between $2,000 to $5,000 to create the comic book, to produce it. That's just paying your creative team. It's not even including printing costs. Pay your people. Now, this leads us to crowdfunding. For many people in 2021, 2022, crowdfunding is their one and only business plan. They'll create a few pages, put it on Kickstarter, put it on Indiegogo, and hope for the best. That should not be your only plan. Regardless if the campaign is successful or not, what are you going to do beyond that? And when we look at indie comic books, you still have 60 to 70% of the people that back these campaigns are other creators. You still have these creator groups who they all band together to fund each other's projects. So they're circling the money around. That's not growing your fan base. Not even by a little bit. So if 60 to 70% of the people are other creators. Then you factor in friends and family. Where are the actual comic book readers? Where are they at? That's what I want to know. Where are they at when it comes to crowdfunding campaigns? Yeah, you'll get a few from the Kickstarter community, but on average, the average comic book reader is not just hanging around Kickstarter or hanging around Indiegogo searching for campaigns. They're not doing that. They're not. My last tip is pretty simple. Trust in your ability to create. If you're passionate about this, regardless if it's a hobby or a business, trust in your ability to create. Surround yourself with people who have a history, have worked for other companies or other creators. Don't be afraid to contact their
references. That way you learn, hey, are they quick with deadlines? Do they rush to work? Are they easy to work with? Don't be afraid. Ask these questions because they're working for you.
And in order for you to succeed, you need people that you can work with, people who want to see you succeed. Or at least want a paycheck. Remember, everybody's not going to be emotionally invested in your project. They're not going to be emotionally invested in you. But if they're motivated by money, that's going to be their motivation to make sure that your project looks and feels the best it can be. So if you're thinking about creating comic books in 2022, think about these tips. Hopefully you learned something. Let me know what you think in the comments. Did I leave anything out? I want to know. Because again, I'm here to learn from you just as much as you're here to learn from me. And those are my tips. Here's the bonus tip. Industry standard. There is an industry standard when it comes to artwork. Yes, you can draw stick figures and probably still make a little money, but comic books are a visual medium. So people will look at the art and they will judge it harshly at times. I've been there, trust me. So if you want to enter this arena, make sure the artwork is up to par. Because a lot of people are like, oh, I love your art, but they're not willing to put money behind it. So all this love people are giving you, and they're not putting money behind it, is fake love. Mr. Unicorn agrees. Fake love. If people really believe in you, they will invest in you. They will invest in your product and so forth. If they don't believe in you, they'll just gaslight you. They'll give you compliments and all this and that. But how many people are really investing their hard-earned money in you and your project? Think about that. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Like, subscribe. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. If you are planning on making a comic book, let me know. Or if you have a project out, I know some of you have sent me PDFs of your books, and I will get to each and every one of them. And I will either give you personal feedback or I will make a video about them. I'll see you in the next video. I'm the Indie Comic Book Guy. Peace twice.